Welcome back to another episode of Health is Wealth, and thank you all so much for tuning into this week's episode. And as always, I am beyond grateful and thankful to each and every one of you who is tuning in to today's episode and also tuning in to help support the podcast, as every week we are sharing a new episode, to sharing words and thoughts of hopes, of inspiration and motivation to hopefully bring value into your world today. So thank you all once again for being here. And again, as you see, I'm not in the normal podcast music room setup. Upstairs again today in the office. I've been really kind of dabbling in my head because, again, I've kind of used that room as the music room. And so I've been really thinking and contemplating if I want to maybe reorganize the office, maybe somehow find a way to use the gym room as a way to do a podcast, room a little bit more, specifically for the Health is Wealth podcast. So as of right now, again, just kind of filming up here today. Maybe I'll go back down next week and continue filming in the music room. But I think while I'm being up here doing, filming for the podcast, maybe just kind of giving me some ideas of ways that I can, again, maybe move around the the office here, to really, again, like give it more of a podcasty vibe. So we'll see. But what I wanted to get to you into today with the topic is this. I just recently got a daily devotional, and it's been amazing. I've been reading it every day. Haven't been able to put it down since picking it up. I think I'm in day 6 now, and there was something here that I wanted to read on day 6 of this devotional that is going to be the topic of this podcast episode. And it says that God gives every person special abilities and spiritual gifts that he intends for them to develop and use. As you identify these abilities and gifts in yourself, you have 3 choices. First, you can ignore them. This will leave you unfulfilled and disconnected from God's plan for you. Second, you can use them to advance your own goals and agenda because you will be naturally good in certain areas. Third, you can put them to their standard use and maximize God's purpose for you as you read and obeys God's word. You will begin to understand your special abilities and spiritual gifts. Using those abilities and gifts to serve God will help you discover your distinctive role among God's people and give you deep satisfaction. Oh, that is a good one. Because I truly believe this, the older I get, the more I realize it, the more I understand this. And first and foremost, right, is to say that everybody, I believe, is here for a specific reason and role. We all have special gifts that make us unique and different, right? And a lot of times, people tend to ignore those things. And what is that special gift, or what is that special thing about you? A lot of times it's the thing that you just feel very natural at, right? The thing that gives you joy. A lot of times that's the special gift and ability you have in yourself. And first and foremost, sometimes people just tend to ignore these things. Oftentimes there are things about us, qualities about us. There are paths in life that we're going down or should be going down, and we ignore them, But the thing about it is this. If we ignore what we were designed, if we ignore those, then we will never be satisfied, right? Now, sometimes it takes a minute to figure out what that unique thing or special thing about you is. Maybe it's hard to kind of figure out what it is that makes you different, or what that special gift is. Sometimes it starts to, figure its way out. As I've gotten older, I start to really discover what it is about me that makes me special and different, and that special gift and ability that comes more naturally to me. And I feel now it's a lot of, my influence and motivating people and bringing good vibes and positive energy, right? And just, being around people and just having that kind of vibe. And like I said, sometimes you may not know it right off the bat. Sometimes it takes a while to start to figure out these things. A lot of times you can ask people, like, hey, like, what stands out about me to you that you feel is something that I excel at, right? Or something a little bit more natural at that you could think of when you think of me. And so there's that part of it. But then there's this part too, right? Like, I like how it puts it in here that you have really three choices, because we do all have a special gift and ability within ourselves. And with that, we have three choices with them. The first, we can ignore them, and a lot of people decide to ignore that thing. They decide to ignore this path or purpose that's calling them in a certain direction. They decide to not acknowledge that special gift about them. Secondly, you might know what it is, right? You might realize, you might lean into something that you realize makes you more special, and a special gift about you. And it's not saying it's more special than anybody else, but you might have figured it out and might use that to your own advantage, right? And your own goals. And that's a different, decision that you can make. But I believe that the third one here is such a powerful one, because I believe when you combine these two, this is when you really begin to understand what your gift and abilities are and how to use them specifically for the role that you were intended for. And that's being able to not just acknowledge that special gift and ability about you, but to be able to use it, to serve a way in life that God had intended you to be. And so what this looks like for me is I really got this good idea of certain things that come more naturally to me, right? Like things like this now, speaking, and again, being a better influence of motivation and, high energy and positive atmosphere. Like, these are things that come naturally to me when it comes to pushing people, uplifting people, motivating people, inspiring people, things of that. And now that I've started to see a lot of them, I start to read, more and more again, the word and trying to understand more of it. And the more I dive into the word, the more I realize, how I can combine these two in such a way that makes it even more powerful. Because, it's not just about me utilizing those special gifts and ability that God has given to me just for my own goods, but using them in ways to live life in the way that I was intended to, not just motivating people, not just inspiring people, but bringing people, to His word, bringing more of that positive influence, into their life, using the word, right? And, the more I spend time with understanding these gifts about me, the things that come more natural, the things that draw me closer to things that I believe the path that I'm supposed to be on, while reading the word, it just really makes it stand out more so what exactly you are here to do. And the most important part of all of this in this conversation is about having fulfillment in life. Because above money, above anything else in life, we need to have fulfillment. Because when we're not living, in the way that we're supposed to, that we were designed to, acknowledging our gifts, living in His word, we're never going to be fulfilled. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter, what career you land in. It doesn't matter how much money you make. None of it, right? It's not until we discover our purpose and we use it with His word to create impact and meaning, right, in fulfillment in life, that we will ever be satisfied. And it is so important, because that's what we are here to do, right? And you will know when you feel out of alignment in life, because you just don't feel right. You don't feel like you're doing the right things. You don't feel like you're in the right place. You don't feel like you're the right person. And there's nothing better than when you start to feel that alignment, because when you start to feel that alignment, you feel that purpose. You feel, that you are on trajectory of who you are supposed to be and what you are supposed to be. And that for me is something I find even more so every day, that I get closer to discovering more about what makes me special and unique with my abilities and gifts. And the more so I dive into His word and trying to combine those two, in my daily living, it's like the more I come down this path of really understanding not just, about things that are, that are within me, like those gifts and those abilities, but how God really wants me to use them, to uplift people, to create impact, to create meaning, to bring more people to Him, all of these different things. And the more I realize that that's the goal and path that I was here, to live and to pursue, the more I become satisfied and fulfilled, knowing I know exactly what He intended me to do. And it's to use these gifts in different, many ways, to again uplift people, bring positivity into their life, but also helping guide them on their way to be their light, to be that lighthouse, to be the vessel for them, to direct them on a path of purpose and righteousness and positivity, and finding their own fulfillment and their own purpose on their own path in life. And it is just such an amazing thing. The whole reason we're here is to live for purpose. And sometimes, again, it may take a little while to understand what that is, but sometimes people do know what that is, and it's that thing that just comes naturally to you, that you're more naturally gifted at doing, right? A lot of times people choose to ignore them. Sometimes people will just use those gifts, right, for their own needs, for their own agenda, for their own wants in life. But again, you're never going to be fulfilled or satisfied in that fashion. And I think the best way to ultimately become fulfilled and satisfied is when you are living in your purpose that God created you for, and also living in that purpose for, the path that He created for you, like it said in the devotional, that role. And it's when you can combine those two, when you are living the life that you're supposed to, based on the purpose and the special gifts that you have, and then using them for the exact reason that God created you to use them for. That is the ultimate goal, and should be for everybody in life, is to use it for those reasons that He created you to use it. And I believe once we're able to find that in life, that's when we will actually find fulfillment, right? We will find meaning, we will find our purpose, we will find our path, we will find all of it. And so the point of all this message is that understand, no matter what anybody tells you differently, we are all here for a reason. You stand out for a different reason than anybody else. There is something God had put specifically in you, had created within you to be special and be different and be unique, because you have something to give of this world and a purpose to live that nobody else was created to do. And that's why you're so special, and that is why you are here. And that is just the start. That's an amazing start, because again, a lot of people, choose to ignore it once they find it, right? And then the next thing is, if you could start to go down the avenue of understanding why is that special gift for you, why is that, the thing that's special about you, and then you understand and you get into His Word to really discover what it is you are here to use those force, you're in a whole different path of fulfillment and satisfaction that nothing in this world, monetary wise, can buy. And it's something I hope for all of us to really discover what that is. And again, your purpose, your path, those special gifts and abilities are just things that naturally, call to you, that naturally come easier to you. A lot of time, these are just inner voices about these visions and dreams and goals that we have of things that we want to do, people we want to be, a life that we want to live, right? Again, a lot of these talents and gifts and abilities are just things that come naturally more to us than anything else, more so than maybe somebody else, where those things might be a little bit more tougher. And so whatever that is, continue to lean into it, to continue to try to discover what that purpose and path and ability and special gift about you is, because that is exactly why God created you to be here. And then once you can figure that out, again, go down this road and path of trying to figure out, what are you supposed to use that for? There's no doubt God has given me this gift and ability to influence, to inspire, to motivate, to bring energy, positive, vibes to people, because He wants me to use that not just to, live out my own dreams and fulfill my own goals and do it to just serve me, but on a mass level to serve others, to uplift their lives, to bring more people to Him in His Word, to serve His kingdom as well. So Again, guys, purpose. We are all here for a reason. And the most important thing you can do is spend your time trying to figure out what that is. And you will never be fulfilled unless you figure that out and then really understand what you are supposed to use that for. And once you start doing that by diving into the Word, it's going to be such an amazing feeling, because I don't think there's anything that comes close to it. Oftentimes we're lost. We don't know what we're doing, why we're here, what direction that we are going in. Sometimes it just takes time, spending some time with yourself to understand that. Again, going on some self-discovery journey. What things are you good at? What things draw to you? What things are you passionate about? What things bring you joy? And then understand what's the gift within that makes you stand out, right? And a lot of times it's the thing that people come and ask you about, the advice they ask you, the things they come to you with that you can answer, that you can help, that you can guide it and direct, that tend to be a lot of the gifts that you have, whether it's a problem to solve, guidance and direction in life, whatever it is. And then once you lean into that, figure out exactly why God has put that in you to be, your special gift, and then figure out how you're supposed to utilize that in this world for the role that you were created for. And it's going to be the best thing that you can do, because that's when we're living in alignment, that's when we are living in fulfillment, and that's when we will be completely satisfied. So live your purpose today, guys. As always, thank you so much for being here, and we will see you on the next one.